Welcome back to our course on web programming using the Go programming language. So what I want to do in this quick video is to do a bit more refactoring. So if we look at our main.go file, uh, we want to ultimately um, remove the way we provide the credentials, because obviously we wouldn't want to keep all of this in main, right? Passwords and so on. But what I want to do right now in this lesson is to move the route information into its own file. Okay, so I want to remove all of this. Okay. All right. So what I want to do now, and obviously I will have to fix this, but let's create a new file, and let's call it routes.go, and it will be inside the web directory. Okay, so let's call it routes.go. Right, and of course we will make it to be package main. All right, it's part of the main package, and we will definitely need to import our net/http package. And so I want to create a function named route. Okay, so routes, and this function will return our mux. Okay, and the type of a mux is http.serve mux, as you know. And then all I'm going to do, I'm going to paste the code that I moved, and then I will simply return mux. Okay, now we have a problem though. Our routes are up.home, up.create code form, and so on. So we need to somehow have access to this up object. And so the easiest thing to do is to just make routes be a method on application. That solves our problem. Okay? Because remember, ultimately, even though I have these in separate files, they ultimately, you can think of them as one file. Okay, so it's telling me it's unused. That's right. So let's fix that. Let's go back to main. And so now what I want to do, I want to create a custom web server. All right. So currently, all I have here is just using http.listen and serve. But that is a generic web server. Okay. Go has a server type, okay, a struct, and we can call all these functions, right? So like we are using listen and serve, but we could actually create our own custom server. For example, we could say what the address should be, what the port should be, and here for handler we specify what the mux is. Okay, and we could specify other things such as max header bytes, any error messages that our web server should use, how to record error messages, and so on. So this is a type that has been created for us. So we don't have to create this type. We just need to create an instance of this type. All right. And so to create my web server, all I'm going to do is, by convention, we say SRV. And so I'm going to create an instance of HTTP dot server. All right. And so again, I don't have to create, I don't have to do like what I did here in application, where I had to create the type. No, Go already has the type for us. We just need to create an instance of it. And so I'm just going to simply say handler, since that's one of the fields. And I'm going to say that the handler will be initialized with apps.route. Okay, so whenever we need to check for our routes, the apps.routes function will be called, which means that we will return the multiplexer, and of course we will know which of the handler functions to execute. Right? So again, nothing new. It's just a tiny refactoring. And so now we have to actually use this SRV. And so we're not going to say HTTP anymore. We're going to say server call the listen and serve function. All right? And we don't need to provide this anymore. All right? Oh, okay. Yeah, right there. Okay. Okay. Okay, so I will need to, it doesn't take any arguments, so I will need to provide my address. Okay, so I need to provide the address. All right, so ADDR should be a string, and so I'm going to come back here, and what did I have as, okay, I had 4,000. So I'm just going to come here, and I'm going to say ADDR will be a string, and it's going to be colon 4,000. So now I can get rid of that. All right, because my listen and serve, it doesn't accept any arguments. Okay, good. So again, this is my custom server. So it means that I will have to provide all of this information. What are the handlers, what are the addresses, and so on. As time goes on, you'll see that we'll add more and more fields, which will customize our server more and more. Okay, so let's make sure we didn't break anything. So let's close that. And so notice we have that. And so our main file has gotten much shorter. Where are we? Yeah, gotten much shorter. Of course, eventually we'll want to remove all of this. All right, but that comes later. Okay, so let's make sure this still works. Oops. Go run slash cmd web. Okay, so it still works. So it's telling me that it's starting on port 4000. Let's make sure we actually have access to port 4000. So localhost 4000, yes. Let's go to show. Okay, good. And let's come back to quote. All right, let's add a quote. Say dad, say live, maybe something like work hard. Let's save that. Okay. So let's navigate to show just to make sure. All right, and it's there. So our application still works. And so the whole point of refactoring is to make sure that our code becomes easily extendable. What does that mean? It means that going forward, whenever I need to add more routes, I just add them right here, right, in this file. And so you'll notice that main only has a few responsibilities, right, going forward. Right. Now that's a pretty easy refactoring. We have two other refactorings we need to do, and one of the most obvious ones is that we need to get rid of all of this status internal server error, as well as any client error. Okay, like for example, if the client provides wrong information, then we provide a status bad request and so on. Okay, so when it comes to errors, we can have errors generated on the client side or by the client, and we can have errors generated by the server or the server side. Okay, so eventually when we refactor, you want to be able to separate, you want to be able to display that this is a client error or this is a server error, so that and by the way, we also want to write them to logs so that we could always inspect our logs to see what the errors are. So in addition to displaying the errors, we also want to save them to a file, which we call a log file. All right, so that's it for this very short lesson. Again, it's just refactoring. We didn't really add any functionality. We simply are cleaning up our code. I'll see you in the next lesson.